Mother and I were visiting India with our good friends Gene and Kathy Kreuzberger,
Mm-hmm.
who at that time Gene was president of DuPont India. Lived in a large mansion with 10 or 12 servants, but that's another story. We went to visit the Taj Mahal,
Uh-huh.
and as you probably know, the Taj Mahal was built out of marble and inlaid with precious stones, with the Brits stole, and a lot of semi-precious stones.
Hmm.
So in that area, there are a lot of shops that sell tables and plaques, all sorts of things with inlaid with semi-precious stones. So Kathy wanted to stop at one of these places, so we had the driver stop, and we went in, and she saw a statue of elephant fighting off two alligators.
Okay.
Nothing to do with semi-precious stones. She said, Gene, I'd like to get that. Gene said, that's the most god-awful thing I've ever saw.
Okay.
Okay, so I was just looking around, and then later we went to the Taj Mahal, and on the way back, Kathy said, you know, Gene, it'd really be nice to buy a table with one of the, marble table inlaid with these things. So he said, fine, and they went into another room, and they were looking at hundreds of different tables. Meanwhile, I was a little bored, so I started looking at these marble plaques. And they had some white marble plaques with just a few inlaid stones for, $100, and they kept getting more and more elaborate.
Mm-hmm.
So then the most elaborate one was this black marble plate with very tiny inlaid semi-precious stones. In fact, they're so tiny they need kids to do it because their fingers are smaller. Adults don't have small enough fingers. A lot of child labor problems in India. So your father at that point in time had this Hong Kong mentality where you bargain for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So Gene and Kathy were still in the other room. I'm bored, so I start bargaining with them.
Mm-hmm.
And originally this thing was listed at the equivalent of $4,000 or $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
So we're playing the typical game and typical game and typical game. So finally, I was getting a little tired, so I wrote them a check for $2,000 and said, I tell you what, if you give me that plaque plus this statue over here of the elephant fighting off these two alligators, that's fine. Otherwise, I gotta leave.
Hmm.
Typical story. They go away, talk to the manager, and it's about 15 minutes before they come back. And at that time, I'm saying, God, what in the world do I want this stuff for? However, as most of these stories go that I've told you, they come back and say, we accept it. So now I have to tell Mother that I've spent $2,000 on this marble plaque, and I have to somehow figure out how I'm going to tell my friend that I bought this statue that he thought was god-awful. So the second part was relatively easy because I had him wrap the statue, and I later gave it to Kathy and thanked her for letting us stay at their house for whatever it was, 3 or 4 days. And later, when I've actually seen Gene, because he lives around here, he claims he likes it. So
Okay.
he's forgotten all the part that he hated it. And I have the $2,000 marble plaque, which I guess if you tried to sell here someplace, you might get $100.